What's the most useless thing you've ever bought? I bought these ice trays on Amazon that make tiny ice cubes. The only way I've been able to get the ice out is to slightly melt it. But since the cubes are so small, there's basically nothing left. Edit. I'm blown away by the number of people who think I haven't tried advanced tactics such as twisting the tray or running warm water on it. I recently bought a couple silicone round ice cube trays. One is a larger size, the other is small. They're cool and all, but I hate filling them. I've yet to do it without getting water all over the entire floor. Edit. This comment has gotten more responses than I'm able to keep up with. Sorry. My plan, however, to manage my inability to transport my floppy full ice cube trays to the freezer is something small and flat. The plan evolved from a sheet pan to something smaller like a cutting board or Tupperware lid to help hold it steady. Thanks for all the suggestions. But I have to work, so I went to be early. I responded to a lot and I can't anymore. The tank of gas I bought right before someone cut me off and totaled my car. We put 1,000 in tires on my wife's SUV. The next afternoon it was totaled. Insurance company said it wouldn't change the payout, so when I went to the towing yard to get her belongings out of the vehicle, I took 4 junkyard tires and wheels with me. The towing company had already swapped them. Raised heck with the towing company. They just laughed at me. Called my agent, who called the sheriff. The towing company suddenly remembered where the tires were on an employee's truck and said they would get them removed and bring them to me. Before I could say a word, my agent lit into them about theft, tire bead damage, illegal business practices, treadwear damage and anything else he could think of. Walked out of there with the full amount I had paid for the tires in cash. When I totaled my car, I was forced to pay someone the tow yard knew $150 to get my good tires back, as the tow yard wouldn't let me do it myself. Completely skeevy business practice. Dude had the audacity afterwards to offer me his card for any future tire and oil changing needs. Are you denying me access to my car? Because if so, I'll call the police right here and now. Several pairs of uncomfortable shoes that I never wear and are taking up space in my closet. A couch that was 10 feet long before I found out my apartment doesn't have a freight elevator. Ross, is that you? Pivot. Beanie Babies. I keep them now to remind me not to buy dumb shit. It doesn't always work. Bought a periodic table which had all the element inside, except it didn't. It just had a super low resolution print of the element onto an acrylic block. When I asked for my money back for false advertising, they wanted me to send it back to China within 5 days. Think it's in a drawer somewhere. 90% of my Steam library that I've never played. Anti-chew repellent to spray on furniture to stop the dog chewing it. Dog loved it and ruined a sofa, table and rug. A thing that cuts hot dogs into smiling dudes. It's called Happy Hot Dog Man. Baby changing table. Thing took up so much room. The shelves were nice, but utterly useless. Worst part, when you're done it's still the same baby. It doesn't work at all. The shelf from IKEA that's still sitting in the box in the corner of my living room. For my cat, an expensive and luxurious bed. When I brought it home, the little duck smelled it, sat on it for a few seconds, and then never used it again. Instead of sleeping in his nice and cozy bed, he prefers to sleep on the hardwood floor. Half the shit I buy when I go into Costco. That company is amazing at figuring out how to separate me and my money. I got to Costco with my dad sometimes, and my mother makes a specific list like milk, eggs, paper towels, etc. And we leave with that and whatever new somewhat odd food item they've just put on sale and numerous other things that are at a cheaper price. We won't find a vacuum that hangs on the wall at $70 anywhere else. Consumerism at its finest. Best Costco trip ever. Stopped in for a few basic things. Just happened to see them pull several pallets of oatmeal out. It was some Quaker thing where it was 36 packs of plain oatmeal, then 36 separate packs of mix-ins like apples and raisins, or cinnamon and brown sugar. They were dumping it for $1 a box. I bought an entire pallet. My wife just about died when I got home with the entire bed of my truck full of oatmeal. We gave it all to the local food bank. One of those poor cleaner tiny vacuum things did not work at all. An umbrella. I live in New Mexico. Insurance for volcanoes. The great majority of lottery tickets I've bought. A pet door. We installed the flapping device in the door so the cat could go in and out at will. Turns out our cat is afraid of it and won't use the pet door, no matter what. There's something about pushing his head against it to make it swing to and fro that scares him. That's unfortunate. We're at the opposite extreme. Our cats blow through it just for fun, and one plays with it like a boxer with a speed bag. Robot litter box. I thought it would solve the problem of my cats stepping on their shit and flinging litter everywhere. It did not. A timeshare. Beyond useless. Yearly maintenance fees were higher than booking a regular hotel stay for the week. I gave it back and didn't get a dime in return for my initial investment. I have an issue with money spending compulsions a lot due to growing up poor. I have bought many random things I've never used or wondered why I bought them. The one that takes the cake is a pair of chicken decorations that cost me $60. I saw them and had the money, so I bought them. They were literal polystyrene with feathers glued on them, and I was halfway home when I realized I didn't want them. Tried to return them, but could only get store credit, so ended up keeping them. LOL. Oh god, I feel this. My family is horrible with money, and any income is disposable income. My mother threw a fit when I wouldn't loan her $700 of my only $3,000 from student loans, saying that she knew I had the money for it. She said she wanted it to feel more cushioned when getting the next apartment. I had just gotten back from a study abroad and hadn't gotten a job yet. My sister just recently spent $1,000 on baby supplies for my brother, who apparently didn't have money for his family, but didn't have any money left after that. Couldn't afford $120 after her car got towed, yet she's always going out drinking and partying and traveling and posting it on her Instagram. I mean, America's poverty industry is ducked up, but FFS. Get some cheap thrills instead. It's one thing to be poor and stuck. It's another thing to be financially irresponsible. Thanks for listening to my rant. A cat water fountain. It was touted as being so much better for cats than a dish of water. My cat saw it, said nope, and never drank from it once. So many cat related purchases on this list. A large didgeridoo carved out of a tree limb that I bought when I was in Australia years ago. I cannot play it, and on top of that, the resin mouthpiece seal has gone missing. It basically sits there, collecting dust, as a conversation piece. A picture of it, with flip-flop for scale. Link. When I brought my didgeridoo back through customs, they smacked it on the ground to make sure I didn't have any drugs in it. Turns out they smacked it on the seal end. You can buy beeswax, heat it up to make it malleable, and then roll it into a pinky finger width replacement seal. Tinder Gold. Tinder Gold actually makes it so much easier. It literally shows you who's already swiped right on you, meaning you can then pick out the 100% matches without wasting time swiping to get a potential. Also, I met my wife via the daily super match feature for gold users. I definitely don't think it's a waste of money. Saves time. That assumes that people swipe right on you. A gun rack. I didn't even have one gun, let alone many guns. A Ford Expedition. Bought that monster because I imagined how cool it would be. Have 4 road trips and vacations and nights out when everyone could ride together. Did 2 group trips in it. The rest of the time I suffered through 16 miles per gallon and high payments for no reason. LPT kids, they rent SUVs. The first pack of cigarettes. But how was your 304th pack? Not as good as my 973rd pack, I'll tell you that. A pair of pants that was too tight from the beginning, assuming that if I kept up my diet it would fit in a month or 2. I bought a riveter that I used once, and for only 2 rivets. I don't see any way of using it again. Looking back, I cold perfectly used zip ties instead of the rivets, but whatever. It's now gathering dust somewhere in my house. Whiskey stones. Instead of cold whiskey you get just warm stones. A vacuum cleaner. It's sat there picking up dust. Actually, it's not picking up dust. A 400 textbook for physics. We never once used it. Just about every Woot com purchase, maybe 10. This was in the late zeros. I even got a bag of crap, which totally lived up to its name. That shirts were okay, though they've mostly disintegrated by now. Windows 8, which was pre-installed on a new laptop. I bought Windows 7 at the same time, and the first thing I did was replace Windows 8. HD DVD player. I bought a trailer hitch on Amazon when Prime first came out because I couldn't believe they would ship it to my house for free. It was the same price as in store, but it's still a trailer hitch for my monitor. I have a 1x1 Rubik's Cube. It's pretty easy to solve, but it gets boring after a while. Edit click to see link. I think those are called dice. My bachelor's degree. Watson. He's the most useless cat you've ever met. I mean, I didn't exactly buy him. I got him in exchange for getting his mum fixed. 7 years of having mice dropped in my hair at 3 AM. Being used as a towel. Never having a wee unwatched. I love him, but he's good gods he's a pest. 3-in-1 avocado tool. Skins. Shucks. Slices. All 3 worse than a knife. Every single week I buy some food that I fully intend to cook with, but the next week rolls around and I have to throw out some produce that's going gross. So yeah, I pretty much make a lot of useless purchases. Clothes for my goal weight just made me feel bad and are still buried in the back of my closet somewhere. I recently bought a decorative plate from Germany that says cocaine and falafel is not a balanced diet. Eat fruits also. Edit thanks for the wholesome award. My friend tried making an art project for his robotics class that was a really curse alarm clock 3D printed to look like a child. When it went off, it let out this ungodly screech and flailed its limbs around, randomly banging the surface beneath it. The only way to shut it off again was to throw it super hard against a wall, so its limbs all disconnected. When he graduated, he didn't want to keep it around because he was afraid his toddler would eat the parts. So I gave him $5 for it and brought it home. I used it like twice and then never again. It's at my mom's house now somewhere. A wedding ring. Ouch. One of those expensive Dyson vacuum cleaners. Something on the bottom broke the second time I used it. I'd left it in the box so long the warranty had expired. A 13,000 Herman Miller sofa that sits in the entryway that I can't recall a single person ever sitting on. When I was 14, I had a crush on this girl a year older than me. She hung out with the punk crowd and once mentioned that she loved guys who did BMX. I sold a bunch of my games to buy a shitty mongoose bike for like 100 so that I could impress her. I went to the skate park to try it out. Everyone laughed at me and then I fell and hit my shin. I left and never picked up the bike again. Pewter gaming dice and a small leather pouch Ford. It was immediately useless because my original group ghosted me when I came out of the closet a few weeks later, so the dice remained unused for years. When I found a new group, the DM initially refused to let me use them because they nicked up her new wooden table and were really loud when then rolled. Eventually we started gaming elsewhere on a plastic table, which is where I found out that pewter is a soft metal, so the dice became slightly deformed and turned into weighted dice with the low numbers coming up significantly more than average. I think the dice are sitting at the bottom of a moving box somewhere because I refuse to get rid of them since they cost $45. Carrot sharpener for sure. I once bought a lawnmower, but I didn't have a garden,